Hello, world. Welcome back to another episode of the Work the Crowd podcast. I am your host, Dougie Fresh. Sorry, just kidding. Not that doom and gloom around here. The other guy, Jacob Klukas, he's here too.
In a library.
Oh, we are in a library. You might want to get that mug off there too. It might fall off.
Nah, it's
Someone's
okay.
gonna pull up.
It'll be okay. It's a sturdy bookshelf.
It looks pretty sturdy and well made. All right, everybody. Well, we got a good episode today. We're going to talk about the Masters, just a little bit how we thought it went, and about the event as a whole. We're going to talk about Travis and Shedeur getting their jerseys retired already, and then a little bit about Nico Iamaleava, aka Nico Iamaleava.
Hey, my man was practicing that for the last 10 minutes, and I'm so proud.
Had to write that down for me in a text so I could say his last name correctly. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about the other Nico, Nico Harrison. So let's get started wherever you want to go.
All right, let's dive into the Masters. What an exciting and sidetrack. We had a lot going on last week. That's why we didn't do an episode last week. Both of us, Doug coming back from all his trips, kind of busy. I had a lot of stuff going on. Was kind of busy. So we didn't get into one last week. So just kind of filling in on the Masters real quickly. And my guy, Bryson DeChambeau, what the hell happened? You were
disappointed us both.
You were in the driver's seat, red hot going into Sunday, coming off at a great putt for birdie on 18, and you had all momentum. You have Rory on his heels because now he's having flashbacks to the U.S. Open last year. He's just everything. You could just tell, even in the interviews, Rory did not want Bryson in his final group.
He didn't.
Going into Sunday.
That's pretty clear.
And then the stage is set for Sunday, 2:30 tee time. And he gives you the 2 strokes you're down back on the first hole. Gives it right back to you to tie it up on the first hole. And you just fall in shambles from that point forward.
Bryson shambles.
I mean, and then here's the thing. If Bryson had just stuck around, okay, say he goes back down 2, he sticks back around. Rory fell apart in the last couple holes.
Just play par golf. Play even golf. Like the smart shots.
And we talked about this a little from Friday when Bryson was kind of not playing bad, but he wasn't playing as good. We had said, Bryson, it seems like Bryson thinks about things way too much. And I think it gets to him.
Well, that's the way he plays, though. That's why they call him the scientist, because he talks through everything.
And sometimes it's just too much. And sometimes, now, Grant, I'm not a PGA golfer, so who am I to want to give advice when it comes to golf? But I feel like sometimes with golf, because golf is such a mental game.
It is.
I feel like sometimes with golf, there is just sometimes where you just have to just go with your gut feeling at times.
Yeah.
And if you walk if you walk up and approach a shot and go, hey, this is what I think, just top of the head. This is what I think I should hit and how I should hit it. Sometimes you just got to go with your gut feeling and just do it.
Well, he has to, I don't disagree, but that's not the way he plays and has played his entire career. He has to stick with the script a little bit and how he plays, right? But Rory showed you how a champion plays. He tried to give that tournament back to Justin Rose as much as he could.
And Justin Rhodes was he was in the lead going into Saturday, and then Saturday's when he lost.
He led for like 3 days.
Yeah, he was 8 under through the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. And then, or 2.5 days or something like that. Then he kind of had a bad Saturday.
Yeah.
But played phenomenal golf on Sunday.
Yeah. Looking at the leaderboards here, first 2 days, Justin Rose was 8 under. Rory was 6 under. So Rory had not taken the lead yet. And then Bryson was 7 under. So, but yeah.
Rory just outplayed Bryson in that. I can't remember what hole it was, but he hit a massive hook shot around some trees and put it within probably 10 feet. That shot was, insane. What had to go into that, and what the way it was for the Masters tournament on Sunday.
There were about 3 shots on Sunday that Rory hit that, like, when you're watching a Sunday final round of golf, you go, that's the moment right there. That's the moment of us going, yeah, that's who wins it. And 2 of them were in/through/around trees. And Rory made the moment. And also credit again to Justin Rose. He played an incredible last round.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
To bring himself back into it. And, we were also pushing for Scotty Scheffler to climb his way back into it. But there was just too many missed opportunities for him on Sunday to climb back into it. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Rory had the moments, and that's what really matters. So.
Yeah. It's such, and the Masters is such a good event, so entertaining for people who love golf, and actually probably people who really don't like golf as well, because I think it's just that big of an event. To me, at this point, I think the Masters is as big as the Super Bowl, in my opinion. It's close.
I would say I wouldn't go as far as to say it's as big as the Super Bowl. I think it's as big as the NCAA tournament.
Oof. Well, no, it follows.
It also helps that
NCAA
it's the week after.
Yeah. I don't know, man. To me, I think it's up there for me. I mean, I'm like marking shit off of my calendars and like, all right, Masters is this week.
I mean, we
Super
chose
Bowl,
not to
Masters,
play golf. We chose not to play
NCAA.
golf that weekend because of
To watch other people play golf, right? Yeah. So for me personally, I think it's up there because your good players are up there, and then especially this one when everybody wanted Rory, we really wanted Bryson to win, but Rory going for the career Grand Slam was also pretty awesome. But Super Bowl wise, sometimes it's hard to root for a team because it's not your team. Golf is so different when it comes to that because you have multiple players you go for.
So just for context here, just looked it up. Masters viewership this is just the average viewership of CBS. Now this isn't taking in, the problem with taking in viewership is nobody takes in like streaming sites and stuff. So, but average viewership from CBS, it says for the Masters was 12.7 million. Super Bowl, 127.7 million.
I said for me.
No, I get it. Yeah, it's different for everybody else.
The Super Bowl is a little more worldwide known. The Masters isn't like.
But I'm not, like I said, I wouldn't say it's quite the Super Bowl. NCAA tournament, yeah, I would say it's right there as far as excitement for people like us going into it. And yeah, like we said, like we were canceling stuff that we could have been doing just to watch. We canceled playing golf to watch other people play golf. Yep. So, and we've talked about it before. And people like Rory try to downplay it. I mean, give credit to the guys at YouTube Golf because they have brought more eyes to the game of golf. Now, it's a different style of golf, but people watch YouTube Golf and watch the people like Bob Does Sports and watch Good and what Grant does and what the Bryan Bros do and all Busta Jack and all them, what all them do. And it's a different setup, but it's still golf at the end of the day. It's not as high caliber golf as the PGA and Live. Some of them are
good.
Some of them can be. Grant Horvat is very good. If Grant Horvat, I feel like wanted to lock in, not make YouTube videos for like a year and just absolutely lock in on improving his game, Grant could play in the PGA. I think.
Well, Wesley Bryan did.
Yeah, and Wesley Bryan did. And
he just got suspended.
There are moments that his brother looks better than him at times. So
George.
Yeah. And so obviously, the Bob Does Sports of the world, they're not going PGA. They're not doing any of that. They're there for the fun and the love of the game. They're for your average Joe watching. Now, as far as good goes, they're kind of like that in between of really good and just entertaining. Now, Brad Dahlke is trying to go back to the PGA. Brad Dahlke has played in the Masters before, so he does have PGA experience, and he's trying to make his way back. But the world of YouTube golf has brought more eyes to the game of golf in general, And so, you could sit here and watch people play golf on YouTube, and then you turn around, you're like, wow, like if I turn on a random tournament, it's like kind of the same thing, just more competitive and just less talking. So I don't know. I didn't like when Rory said all that about YouTube golf and how it's done a lot. It's done a lot more than what people think.
I totally agree. I mean, people that don't play golf watch these guys.
Yeah.
And then get into golf. It's bringing, like you said, not just more eyes, but more people to play the game of golf, to try it out. I think Rory he was so against the Live, and that I think that was part of the reason why Bryson went to Live, was because he couldn't do YouTube while he was on the PGA Tour. So like that, I think that's like the feud, part of the feud they have, and Rory just had to stick with it. I think he has to know that it's good for the game. He just doesn't like it because it's making fun of the game, he thinks. I don't know.
And think about it. Rory's a like old school, like die hard, he is PGA through and through and wants to do everything by the book and all that, which kudos to him. It's made him one of the top 2 players in the world. Can't argue it. But It's why, guys. It's like when you go to. I mean, we went to Valhalla last year, and when you're going like outside, obviously Rory's very popular and Scotty's very popular, but outside of those guys, when you go to these events, these people are cheering for Bryson and Homa and Dustin Johnson and guys like this. Yeah, they're all live guys, but because we've seen them on the YouTube page and we've gotten to, when you see them so much on the YouTube side of things, it's almost like you get to know them a little bit more personally just from watching them and their natural in a more natural state. So you feel for these guys more on a personal level, and you realize, like when Bryson did that video, I can't remember if it was with Grant or if it was with Good when he did it, when he was like, I don't think people realize that playing at public courses is harder than playing on PGA courses, because PGA courses, the everything is just so perfect for them in comparison to the public courses. It's way different. And then that has the average golfer going, see, I knew it wasn't me, Yeah,
no, it's you.
Yeah, it's still you, buddy. But
it's still you.
But I mean, I shitting on YouTube golf, I didn't like that from Rory. But again, I understand that he's diehard, doesn't like the whole live thing and all that. But it
if
definitely
Tiger's okay with it, he should be okay with it. Tiger has been on multiple channels doing stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, Tiger just did a whole golf lesson with Grant.
Right. He should go. Rory should just go ahead and just say, "Hey, YouTube's good for golf."
Just
Tiger's
listen. You don't if you're Rory, you don't necessarily have to do anything with like Bob Does Sports, because obviously, again, as great of a following as they are, they're not the more serious type of golfer. So if you're wanting to do more serious stuff, go do something with somebody like Grant. Like join this 2v2 with Grant and Phil, and
bring Charlie.
Yeah. Well, not just Tiger. I'm just talking about even from Rory too. Like, just open yourself up to this side of the world and see it's really not that bad. Like, and again, it brings more eyes. You think people aren't rushing to Grant's page to go watch a 2v2 with him and Phil Mickelson versus whoever? I mean, they just dropped a video today. Part 1, their next 2v2 is with John Rahm and Josh Allen.
Oh, is it? I didn't see that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So, I mean, it's just a whole different world, and it definitely brings more eyes to the game of golf, and I don't know how you just can't appreciate it a little bit more.
I think he comes around to it. It's YouTube golf's not going anywhere, but yeah. All right, well, let's move on to Travis and Shedeur, switching gears from golf to football. They just got their jerseys retired from University of Colorado. Seems a little premature, maybe?
How about absolutely ridiculous?
I mean, I didn't want to say it like that, but you can go ahead and say it like
absolutely ridiculous. Listen, if you would have told me 5 years from now, after they've played in the NFL a little bit, that Travis Hunter gets his jersey retired from Colorado, sure, I could live with that. He won a Heisman. He racked up a lot of accolades in his 2 years at Colorado. I could understand Travis Hunter. Shedeur? Come on now. Let's be real. You were 13-12 in your record in 2 years in Colorado with no bowl wins, no real significant wins at all. And then people are also going to go, well, because it's true, and I didn't know this till the other day. Apparently, Shedeur Sanders holds the all-time NCAA record for completion percentage in a career, which he does, but that also alludes to a lot of dump downs that Colorado did. A lot of easy little 2-yard dump downs that people like Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn Jr. just were able to create off of that. But Shedeur Sanders hasn't done anything in my eyes to warrant his jersey being retired. He didn't win a significant quarterback award. He doesn't really have a whole lot of accolades besides that. His 2 years at Colorado, 7,364 yards, 64 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Does not scream should have had his jersey retired. And the other thing is, if we're going to retire jerseys at Colorado, why doesn't Cordell Stewart have his jersey retired at Colorado?
That's a good point.
Where's Cordell Stewart's jersey retirement? I don't get it. I just don't understand why. And then Deion to come out, and I understand what Deion was trying to say. Deion said if his last name wasn't Sanders, nobody would have an issue. And he's saying if he wasn't his kid, nobody would have an issue about him getting retired. And then we're flipping the quote around going, no, the reason why his last name is Sanders is we have an issue because that's the only reason why he's getting his jersey retired. Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't be shocked if Deion said, you want me to stay in Colorado? Retire my kids' jerseys.
Like, at this point, if we're just giving out jersey retirements for no accolades or anything, just retire your other son's jersey, too. Just retire Shiloh's son or jersey while you're at it. Why not? we're just handing it out. I mean, just
Is
go
Tim
ahead.
Tebow's
No,
jersey retired?
no, it's not.
I mean, dude won a Heisman and what, 2 national championships?
Doesn't have
And
his jersey
has all
retired.
kinds of accolades there.
Doesn't have his jersey retired. Actually, his jersey was just worn this past year by a trash can at quarterback named Graham Mertz. Okay.
Did Anthony Richardson wear it too?
Anthony Richardson wore 15. And we're over here retiring Shedeur Sanders, and Tim Tebow doesn't even have his jersey retired.
That dude is Florida Jesus.
I mean, come on. What are we, and I get it. Every school is going to be different, so you can't compare somebody at Florida not retiring a jersey versus somebody at Colorado because your standards and stuff are a little bit different. But
just based alone on what Tebow did for college football,
I mean, for the love of God,
jersey
dude.
retirement.
For the love,
they
of
haven't
God,
even played in the NFL yet. Neither one of them.
No, and that's why I said if in 5 years from now you want to give Travis Hunter a jersey retirement, sure. Again, Heisman Trophy winner at Colorado, one of the very few cornerbacks, even though he does play both sides of the field, but cornerbacks in general to win the Heisman. One of the very few defensive players to win the Heisman. Sure, you want to give it to him in 5 years from now and let him build a little bit of an NFL resume? I'm all for it. Shedeur Sanders doesn't deserve it. I'm sorry. If his last name was not Sanders, he would not be having his jersey retired.
Yeah, they should have treated it more like a Lamar Jackson type thing.
And then also, if you're going to retire somebody's jersey like that, especially somebody like Travis Hunter, why are we doing it on a Saturday spring game?
Yeah. If you're going to do this,
they
might as well do
retired
it during the season.
They did it this past Saturday at the spring game.
I don't know.
It should have been done at a home game later in the season and allowed them all to have have a little moment with fans, actual fans in attendance.
Yeah. Maybe do it during a big game when you can bring fans into the game a little bit more during halftime.
Probably don't want to afford to do that because you don't want to bring them in at halftime of a game you're probably going to get blown out in and
suit up, put them back in.
I mean, but come on now. No bowl wins, 13-12. You don't have any significant awards. How the hell are you getting your jersey retired?
You know, I don't know. I was when I saw that, I was very shocked. I was like, what? Why in God's name? Why would they do that? You know, and that's what sucks is that I feel like, you know, most of the time they give them NFL careers in football, at least. You give them NFL careers a little bit, and most likely Travis Hunter is probably going to have a solid NFL career. And Shedeur is yet to be seen. You know, he's I think right now a little 50. Let them have their time in the NFL, and then bring them back. Let them relive it a little bit. I really feel like it's not that special for the players to do that. They haven't
just have your jersey
barely left
retired.
Yeah, what is that? Why is that any good for them?
Yeah, I don't get it. And your jersey retirement shouldn't have anything to do with your NFL career. So me going 5 years later doesn't mean like let's see what they do in the NFL before we retire their jersey. But we got to wait a little bit. Again, like you said, what good is it doing for them to retire their jersey before they even leave campus? You're not going to allow them to come back and have a little bit of nostalgia and everything when they do come back and, you know, enjoy their time and everything else. So I don't know. Again, I'd understand Travis Hunter getting his jersey retired. Shedeur, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, at this point, just retire Shiloh's too while you're at it.
Definitely not that. I don't know. You know, if you wonder about too much, never ends well.
Yeah, it's just, again, if his last name is not Sanders, his jersey doesn't get retired. And like you said, I would not be shocked if Dion said, if you want me to stay here, you retire my son's jersey. Now, I could, here's the other thing to that. I could also understand if for the first couple of years after they're gone, if you go, hey, we're not retiring the jersey, but nobody can wear number 2 or number 12. Like, if you want to put that in there and say, hey, for the next like 2 years or so, we're not going to allow anybody to wear these 2 jersey numbers, or make it like you have to earn your way to wear this jersey number. You know, okay, that's different. But retiring, that's insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to my point you made. You said that the NFL career doesn't have anything to do with them retiring the jersey at the school. I kind of disagree with that a little bit, only because is you carry the legacy from the school on to your NFL career. I mean, even Lamar Jackson had already won an NFL MVP, broken a bunch of records already in the NFL, and then you take what he's done at Louisville. That's why they retired his jersey. I even thought it was a little premature for them to retire Lamar's jersey a little bit. And I still think it does have a say in why they don't retire their jersey. Maybe that's why Tebow doesn't have his retired. NFL career wasn't that great. I just think you carry the school's name on to the next level. And I think it does matter a little bit.
Not saying that it doesn't matter completely, but what I did in college is what I did in college.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, think about it this way. Think about it the reverse opposite way. Say you have a basketball player, right? So if you have I know it's a completely different sport, but basketball or football player. Let's take Tom Brady, for instance. Tom Brady really wasn't shit at Michigan and then flipped it around and had a great pro career. But are we going to say because he didn't? Now, granted, we're talking about the GOAT, so it's a little bit different. But if we're talking about somebody that's a late round pick, didn't do anything in college, but was able to turn it around in the pros, we're going to say they didn't deserve their college jersey to be retired because they weren't that great in college, or vice versa. Like, I just don't somebody like that. Like, you're going to sit here and tell me Texas A&M wouldn't retire Johnny Manziel's number or jersey number?
Wait, say it again. Johnny Manziel, what?
I'm saying you're going to sit here and say that Texas A&M wouldn't retire Johnny Manziel's number?
He's had a questionable after school antics.
Yeah, but let's be real. Johnny Manziel.
He was a stud. No, I think they will.
A&M.
I get what you're saying. I just think it does matter a little bit. They're like, they add to it.
I could see it mattering for the bigger schools like Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. It's very hard to get to because they have so many talented players to just retire somebody's number based off just what they did in college. So I understand it at those, but these, I don't want to say smaller schools, but the schools that aren't Georgia and Ohio State and Alabama, those schools you got to kind of make those exceptions for because it's a little bit different. You don't have players
I guess
like
that's
that.
True.
You don't have players like that coming in and out every year.
Yeah, that's true. I like Colorado. I do agree with that.
Yeah, places like Colorado and even Texas A&M, Texas A&M high, big, big. They're not having players come in and out like that. Florida. Now Florida's kind of they did at least at one point have players coming in and out like that. But why Tebow hasn't had his jersey retired, I don't know. But
why Brady still? I don't care if he's done shit at Michigan or not. He's still the GOAT. He graduated from Michigan. His jersey's not retired from Michigan. That's wild.
No, I don't believe it is. I'll double check.
I just looked it up. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean,
that's wild to me. But I guess you're right. I mean, I don't know. I still think you carry it on though. I don't know. It is what it is. All right, let's move on to the first Nico we're going to talk about. Nico Iamaleava, aka Nico. Oh God, let me pull your text up. Iamaleava. I'm going to get that down eventually without looking at a text. Buddy. I'm going to, I guess, explain what I think happened a little bit, and you can correct me if you want. So Nico, I guess, goes to coaches or boosters, whoever or his agent, I guess, goes to all these people saying, hey, I want more money from Tennessee. And keep in mind, he's making $2 million a year in NIL money from the University of Tennessee. He goes to these people and says, I want more money. And Tennessee says, we're absolutely not having that. We can't give you more money. He says, all right, fine, I'm not playing. And they basically just cut ties with each other. Tennessee's just not fucking with it. They said, you go do whatever you want to do. We'll move on. We'll go with someone else. So now he goes all the way. It takes some time after that. And then he just announced, I think last week, that he's going to be signing with UCLA to go play for $1.5 million. So grass isn't always greener on the other side, Nico. I think this part alone for NIL is ruining college football. But these kids are learning a valuable lesson on how life works. When you get the big money like that, or just anything you do in life, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It just isn't. And Nico, unfortunately, learned that the hard way. He took a $500,000 pay cut to go play at a worse team. So I think it sucks for Nico's part. He was trying to pull rank a little bit. And honestly, I think good for Tennessee saying, you're gone. We're not having that. It set an example for the rest of college football. I think it did.
Yes and no. It's going to depend on how this season goes for Tennessee. Hold
on. I think you're going to have a lot of players now, regardless of level, saying, I can't, they're already paying me. What's that kid from Michigan getting paid this year?
So that's my thing. So think about this, because we're basically treating these guys as professionals at this point.
At this point, they are professional.
So they're getting treated as professionals. So let's look at the NFL game. All right. Every year, the quarterback market gets reset by somebody getting their extension, correct? So if you're Nico, regardless of the season I just had, okay? Now, a couple things to look into. One, the kid from Michigan that you were just getting ready to mention, Bryce Underwood, as a true freshman, is walking in and making $4 million in NIL, all right? $4 million, all right? Carson Beck, who was at Georgia last year, signed with Miami for $4 or $4.5 million, one of the two. So if I'm Nico and I'm looking at the market has been set at $4 million. So as a player, I cannot blame him for asking for more money when the market's been set at $4 million. All right. Now, you have to be able to perform to get that money as well. Michigan's just desperate. They were going to throw money at Bryce Underwood no matter what after the season they had just had. But the market was set. So as far as from a market standpoint and where this is set in NIL, I'm watching a true freshman make $4 million walking into college football. I'm watching in Nico's eyes. Now, I'm not saying that Nico's better than Carson Beck or Carson Beck's better than Nico. That's not my argument. From Nico's standpoint, he may think that he's better than Carson Beck. So in my eyes, somebody that's below me just got paid $4 million. A true freshman just got paid $4 million. Why can I not get $4 million? All right. And now where I'm saying it's going to depend on how good of a season Tennessee has. Yes, for right now, is it a good thing that Tennessee didn't give in to Nico and give him the $4 million? Sure, depending on how you're looking at it. But, and a lot of teams may do that unless we're talking about Tennessee just made the college football playoffs this past year. If Tennessee goes into this season and their biggest question mark, they have a down year and they go, let's just say 7-5, 6-6, or even 8-4. All right. And their biggest question mark and why they weren't as good is that quarterback position. There's going to be a lot of teams. It's going to be split down the middle, but there's going to be a lot of teams that don't like that he demanded it, but maybe you should have paid him and maybe you win more games and get into the playoff. Or you're going to have the other teams that go, well, so be it. They're still going to be, so be it. No matter what, we're not paying it. It's all about what we believe in and all this and that. It's really going to depend on what kind of season Tennessee has. If they come out and they have a good season and still, even if they don't make the playoff, but they go 10-2, there's going to be teams that go, they 100% made the right move. That's the way we're going to go going forward. But if they go 6-6, 7-5, like I said, and their biggest question mark all year is that quarterback position, there's going to be a lot of teams going, you probably should have paid the kid.
So I don't agree with that totally because I don't think Tennessee does that if they don't have another option.
They're scrambling right now in the portal.
And maybe they are, but I don't think Nico really had that much leverage.
After his playoff performance, no. If Nico would have had a good playoff game last year and they lost to that Ohio State team, he probably has a lot of leverage.
It's that's like every other job.
It's the fact that he threw the ball 31 times in that playoff game and only had 104 passing yards.
Yeah, and so okay, even if Tennessee has a down year, but Nico still has a shitty year. Well, then what then?
Because you still go last year. If he has a statistical year that's similar to last year, right, at UCLA, which I believe his stats were only like 2,500 yards passing and like 16 touchdowns, I think it was, or something like that, maybe 20. So even if he just does that at UCLA, right, there's still going to be coaches go, well, he did the exact same thing statistically as he did last year and you made the playoff. So at bare minimum, you still make the playoff. But here's the other side of this, and where I don't blame Nico as well, and it was a point that he made, and it's a point that's been made. Coaches, schools, conferences, all the above, from the coaches and above, get bonuses and extra money for making the college football playoff. Why don't the players?
Because this is not part of their name, image, and likeness.
So where this is going to play into it is you're paying me to play at your university.
Paying you to play.
Okay, you're paying me what my NIL deal says, because it's all the college football season is you're paying me to pay 12 games a year for you. And they're going to be some
all I'm paying you for.
There's going to be guys, true, but there's going to be guys that go, you're going to have to pay me to play the extra games. Now, I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm not saying it's what they should do.
That will happen, yes.
It's going to happen though. If you want me to continue playing extra games from what was already asked of me, I need to be paid extra. And I'm not saying they need to be paid, an abundance of money for making the playoffs. But I do think if I played well enough to put us in a playoff position, then there should be a small little incentive coming my way for doing that. Especially if the coaches and above me are making extra money from being in that spot. That's my thing. And the whole everybody, this is also a whole nother conversation, but I'm going to make it real quick. For the people going to transfer portal and all this is a huge issue. I'm sorry, I can't get behind it, because if a coach can just up and leave his contract for a new job whenever he wants, and a player should have that same right as well. Okay. So, and that's my whole thing, that going back to this, if a coach is making bonus money and extra money for making a college football playoff, making a conference championship game, whatever, then there should be a little bit of extra money coming my way as well for putting my body on the line and putting you in this position. Because I'm the one that you coached our way here, but I'm the one that put my body on the line and played to get here. So I'm not saying it's got to be an extra million. I'm not saying that, but there should be, a little bit of an incentive, extra money. If I put you in a college football playoff position, there should be a little extra money that comes my way for doing that.
So if teams were smart, they would draw out contracts and say, you don't get paid by the game, and your full $2 million is included in the playoffs.
100%.
Say, all right, you don't make the playoffs, you get less money. That's how they should do the contracts.
It should. And if you make the playoffs, I'll give you this little bit of extra of an incentive.
Well, I think it's your $2 million is dependent on if let's just say Nico's contract. Well, we've never seen an NIL contract, so we don't know what it looks like. Well, but let me just give you a scenario.
Okay.
Real quick. So Nico comes in as a freshman or regardless, whatever, next year. All right, he signs a new NIL contract. They say, all right, we're going to pay you $2 million. Your contract's based on we're going to pay you this amount of money per game, but you don't get their full $2 million if you don't make the college football playoff. That is how they should word a contract. And that not only lets the player play for something other than money. I guess really it's just all money. They get to play for more money if they make the playoff. It is like a coach's bonus if they do it like that, because they get to make more money if they make the playoff.
But coach's contract is set in stone per year, and they already get that regardless they make the playoffs or not. The bonus money comes in if they make it. So if, Ryan Day at Ohio State is set to make whatever amount of money he does per year, he gets that whether he makes the playoff or not. He's getting his money per year whether he makes it or not. The bonus money is if he makes it.
So, but the NIL, it goes into like the definition of what is considered NIL though. See, a coach's job is completely different than a player's, and they don't make. Sometimes the coaches don't make as much money as the players do.
In college, they do. Pros, no.
In your big schools,
yeah,
but your
smaller schools, nobody's getting paid more NIL than the coaches, even at the smaller school.
We don't know that.
If one of the highest NIL monies is, and again, it's at the bigger.
What's Michigan's coach getting paid per year?
One more contract. So he signed a 5-year deal, agreement worth on average of $5.7 million.
Damn near the $4.5 million. That's damn near the same.
Yeah, it's not far off, but
I would have trouble if I was a coach coaching these kids regardless. But they're not professional athletes though. They are still students.
So my thing is with NIL, when you said, I don't know what the definition of name, image, and likeness, for me, if I'm stepping onto a football field and there is a camera there, when I am on TV or whatever, college football playoff or not, that is still my name, image, and likeness being used. And that's also so part of your NIL deal, I'm going to assume, because like we said, we've never seen an NIL contract, so we don't know what all it entails. I'm sure, jersey sales and stuff like that are probably involved in that. If you're a school... If you're
make money on jersey sales,
there's probably because it's probably if you're one of those schools that puts names on the back of the jerseys. Because if you're a school like Penn State or something that doesn't have names on the back of their jerseys already, I can just sell a number 8 Penn State jersey, and I can say that's any player in history. It's not just necessarily yours.
Yeah, true.
But if you're a school that puts names on the back of the jersey, then for me, if I'm making X amount of dollars on however many jerseys sell during the regular season, if we make the playoffs, you're still selling my jersey because we're playing. So that's still, again, name, image, and likeness. So
I would like to see how the contract is worded, how an NIL contract is worded, because I'm not saying I disagree that they shouldn't get bonuses. I just think they need to word it differently for the players.
Yeah, and
like they could say, all right, you give a $2 million NIL deal. But this deal is only contingent on if you make the college football playoff, because you won't get the extra game money.
This is where you have to play the NFL and NBA card and what they do in contracts. And so what I would do is I would offer players, hey, I'm going to offer you let's just say like Nico, $2 million in NIL per year. Okay, that's what you're going to make per year no matter what. But I'm going to tell you, you can make upwards of $2.5 million in incentives. And that's where I would throw in, okay, you're going to make your $2 million no matter what. But, you take us to a conference championship. You lead the SEC in passing yards. You lead the SEC in passing touchdowns. You take us to a playoff. You win a playoff game. All of these combined, you can make upwards to $2.5 million. And that's where the incentives come in. It's just like the NFL and NBA does. Like the NBA does that all the time where they put in contracts. You're going to make this amount of dollars, but this is where your bonus incentive money comes in if you make all first team, all defensive team, all, you do something like that. That's where your incentives have to be. So you say, hey, you're going to make $2 million, but you can make 2.5 if you do these things, and that's going to incentivize a player to want to go after those things. So maybe you don't go as drastic as 2.5 or like the extra whatever, but even if you go, hey, you can make 2 million with 2.3 upwards to 2.3, whatever you want to set the bar at, but you have to make it somewhat incentive based, because you don't want to necessarily guarantee them they're going to make this money, but you also don't want to take it away if they do these things.
We're saying the same thing in a different way, though. Because if I'm a university, I have to make a business decision. These are all now financial business decisions for schools because they all have a budget towards it, NIL. So if I have to try and short them a little bit and say, here's what your evaluation is, what I think you're worth. But I need you to make my team a playoff team. If you don't get your money.
Yeah, but at the same time, these universities aren't necessarily thinking like that, because there are going to be some schools that go, we want this kid because he's going to put butts in seats.
Some schools will. But again, that's what his worth is. I'm just saying it a different way. Your worth is $4 million. Your 12 game or how many games? How many games we play? How many games is it?
They play 12 regular season and then whatever extra.
Yeah, 12. Your 12 regular season salary, because they probably paying per game, is this. But your valuation is $4 million. But I need you to make the playoffs and do all this other stuff before I can give you the rest of the money.
Yeah. You have to just.
It's the same thing. It's just a different way.
Yeah, you have to incentivize it, and you have to break it down.
Okay with if your player wins a Heisman, give them some money. If SEC passing leader, I'm okay with that too.
Here's my thing.
Those are hard to do individually.
And this is I'm pro player, if you can't tell already. I'm pro player. So anything that a school, if I do an accolade, I win an award, I win the Heisman, I make the playoff. Anything that a school makes bonus money off of what we have done as a team or I have done as a player individually, I should be seeing some of that money as well.
Well, whole team should.
Yes, where I'm saying the me is if I win the Heisman, like that should be incentivized. I should get a chunk of money coming back.
You win a Heisman Trophy, you deserve.
Team wise, yes. If we make the playoffs, we make the conference championship. Yes, everybody
teams
make
money off that when they travel.
Everybody that's making money should be making extra money. So that's the thing is that I am not a fan of how Nico and them went about it. So let's go there. So don't think I'm pro Nico in this situation. I'm just saying when I see that a freshman quarterback's making $4 million, somebody that maybe Nico sees as below him is making $4 million. Why can I not ask for $4 million?
And we're also not taking into the aspect of the agent piece too.
Correct.
Because for all we know, the agent could have messed this up.
Well, apparently this was all done by his dad. And this is why I don't like when parents try to live vicariously through their kid and try
to get paid less.
And I hate to say it, but more times than not, you end up ruining it for the kid, and you're not the one. You're not the one that has to. You're not the one that has to go through that. It's the kid. So listen, I hope Nico does well at UCLA. Looked at their schedule the other day. It is not favorable for him. He's going to have PTSD and go back to Columbus next year. So yeah, I hope for the best for him. I hope, and listen, again, because I am pro player, I do hope he has a great season. And I do hope that maybe Tennessee has a little bit of a down year, so it kind of makes these schools go, wow, maybe we have to maybe not pay these players to the extent of what they want, but we do have to shuck out a little extra. But especially this is my other thing, especially your quarterback. Your quarterback's the most important position on the field. So I need these universities to understand, while you may not like it, you're going to have to give the quarterback a little bit more money than you would somebody else. You're not going to win without it.
I just don't. Why do you ask for more money if you don't have another offer?
I
know he's seen all the players. He had no leverage.
So the report was that it was obviously done by Nico's dad, for one. Apparently, because I don't know if he thought that he was going to be able to land him after this, and I don't know how it ended up going about. Apparently, there was a rumor that Dan Lanning is the one that called Josh Heupel and said Nico is listening to offers from other schools currently. And that kind of jump-started this to where Heupel started questioning Nico, and I don't know how true that is, but my thing is I don't want to believe it because at the same time, if that was true, that would be Dan Lanning going, I want this kid, and then you should have landed him, but you didn't.
Yeah. No.
So I don't know. I don't know necessarily how true it is, but it could also, again, Dan Lanning has ties to the SEC and ties to Georgia, so maybe it is a little bit of sabotage, but
maybe
could be.
True.
I'm not going to go that far
Conspiracy,
and say
but
it's true.
have maybe some truth to it.
But my thing is, if that's true and you're going to do that, then it should have been an immediate Nico entered the portal with a do not contact tag and should have been commitment to Oregon within the coming days. So
closing thoughts for me on this. I know it may not sound like it with this Nico situation, but I am pro player. I am for all these kids making all the money they can and for the transfer portal, all that. It's just I think where it will eventually hurt college football if these kids start to get too greedy, and it can cause a lot of problems.
Dion said the other day, and I do kind of agree with it. There's obviously you can't do everything with it, but Dion said the college football just needs to go full on NFL in terms of there should be a salary cap set on NIL.
Yep.
You should be only able to spend so much. And I'm not saying and I won't go as far as to say salary cap in terms of, hey, you only have this amount to spend total. I would go as far as just to go, you have this amount to spend per year. And
carry
allow them to, if they want to carry some over, sure. If they don't, but that's my thing. Like if I'm setting your NIL money at 20 million and you decide to spend 17 of it in year one, I'm not saying you can only carry over 3 into the next year. You can carry that 3. I mean, you can carry that 3 over. That doesn't mean you only had 3 mil to spend the next year. You still have the 20 mil that you can spend the next year, but you may have extra, you may have less. So
they're still raising the money. Boosters and donors are all putting in millions of dollars for these teams to be good.
So you just got to come up, and 20 mil, obviously probably not the number that you look at, but especially in football, maybe basketball is probably the number that you try to hit. But for that, right around there, football, you probably got to go a little bit more just because there's more players on a team. So I think you do have to come up with some kind of like salary cap for it. But that also all ties into NIL and transfer portal that we talked about before, where you got to put a cap on the transfer portal and all that. So
there has to be regardless. Regulations have to be made eventually, and they will. Like Dion said, I think they will because that's just still new to everybody. So they're still trying to get the way of the land a little bit.
Yeah. So again, not a fan of how Nico and them went about doing it, but again, I can't blame him when the market is set at a certain number. I can't blame him for asking for that number. Whether you believe he deserves it or not, I can't blame him for asking that.
I just don't. I think people were in his ear, and he did. I think he ended up. This is obviously just me speculating, but I think he made the decision based on what other people wanted, not what he wanted.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's the same thing with anything else of, when you're growing up, people telling you naturally you're better than what you really are.
Yeah.
The problem is it ruins kids, and because they think they're this level of player, they get to that level and they find out they're not. And, it's the same thing. But again, I hope Nico has a good year. I hope Tennessee, I kind of hope for a little bit of sabotage in Tennessee this year, just so it kind of proves that maybe you do got to pay these guys. Cause like I said, if Heupel felt as confident in his backup as you would think by just letting Nico walk, they wouldn't be scrambling to find a quarterback in the portal right now. And
I mean, it sounds like just a terrible situation for both Nico and Tennessee, but
that's the thing.
His dad saw that fucking money and just went.
If it's terrible for both, if Nico has a bad year and doesn't perform, and Tennessee also doesn't perform, it's going to leave coaches kind of up in arms of still. Okay, well, what do we do in this situation now? So gotta have regulations.
All right. Last but not least, the other Nico Harrison.
So. Here's what when I wrote closing thoughts, because tell me how you feel about it afterwards. I am so tired of hearing this guy trying to defend his decision every goddamn day of my life. I swear every time I get a Bleacher Report update, an ESPN update, it's something about this guy trying to justify his decision and what he made. And what it comes down to is when you spend so much time trying to justify a decision and just over and over and over and over again trying to explain why you did it, that just tells me in your head you made the wrong decision.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
And now you're just trying to spend every day of your life trying to justify why it was the right decision.
He
I'm sorry.
traded one of the greatest players in our generation, and will go down as one of the greatest players of our generation away.
Yeah.
How do you do that? I don't understand
And
that.
the trade, and let's get this out of the way too. The trade is already a bad trade in terms of this season to begin with. The Lakers are a 3 seed. The Mavericks didn't make the playoffs. It's already a terrible trade. All right, the Mavericks were in prime playoff position before this trade. Now they're not. And end of story. It's already a bad trade to begin with. As far as so far, it's already a terrible trade. All right, Lakers could lose first round of the playoffs, and it's still a terrible trade for Dallas.
Yep.
So let's just get that out of the way. Two, again, if you spend your time trying to justify a decision over and over and over and over again, you're in the wrong.
Oh yeah. Yep.
If,
That's how that works.
Yeah, it's if me and you come up, or if I did something, if I decided to do something that you didn't like, did it anyway, and I spent the rest of my time trying to justify that I was right, I'm wrong. It's just what it is. If you were 100% right behind it, there's nothing to say. You're right. What do I need to explain myself more for if I'm right? And then for Nico to just and that's the other thing is like, people are like, my thing as a fan of LeBron and the Lakers, and why, like, I've been saying, everybody's been like, Luka still doesn't look the same. Yeah, because the dude's still depressed, because every time this guy turns a corner, one, there's a reporter in his face still talking about Dallas. Like, one, can we please fucking move on? Like, it happened. I get it. It was big news. Move on from it. He doesn't need a camera in his face talking about it every 5 seconds. It happened. Two, every time this guy gets on Twitter, it's Nico Harrison bashing this guy about something else. Like, and that's the other thing. Like, dude, let it go. You're the one that dropped him. Why are you still carrying this on? Like, I don't like it. It'd be like me breaking up with a girl and just every day of my life going around telling people, yeah, I left her because of this, and this is why. And dude, move on. Move on. You're never going to move on if you don't shut up about it. And again, he knows he made the wrong decision. Whether ownership made him do this or he just truly, I'd like to think that this guy isn't stupid enough to not have somebody in his ear and just watch NBA one day and just go, I think I'm going to trade Luka Doncic.
I don't think it was that.
I'd like to think that he's not that stupid. Okay. I would like to think that. Okay. I would like to think that this guy didn't just, and here's my other thing. We talked about this when the Luka trade happened. He keeps on going back to this defense wins championships. Does this motherfucker not realize when they made their finals run last year, the Dallas Mavericks were a top 10 defensive team in the NBA? You were top 10 in defense with Luka on your team already. It didn't matter. You went to the finals last year. Finals.
I'm not thinking you've let it go yet.
Because it irritates me still seeing this guy. I wouldn't be still talking about it if Nico Harrison wasn't still talking about it. He won't let it go.
I think Nico's fighting for his life. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets fired in the offseason for this.
He's not going to get fired. They're going to give him another offseason to try to make this work.
Now, hold on. So here's my conspiracy theories on this a little bit. There has to be more to this story that we'll never find out, and that Luka and Nico, the owners, all know, and we'll never know. They're going to keep it locked in.
And if we do find out, it'll be 20, 30 years from now when they're like, oh, this is what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, it could be a number of really just a number of things. And Luka maybe not have been listening. He was the man, and they were trying. I don't know how you prove a point about trading him away because he's still that man. He's still a great basketball player. I just don't. I don't understand it either. But if I'm Nico Harrison, I mean, you're as a GM, you know basketball. You don't know basketball without. He doesn't know any. He doesn't get to where he's at.
I'd like to think he knows basketball, but trading
away
a top 5 player in the world tells me you don't know basketball.
He had to have been pressured from somebody. If he doesn't get fired after this year, he was pressured by ownership to move him. That is my take on it. Because if they're going to give him another shot after completely just dismantling the entire Mavericks team, from a finals team to now, not even getting make
not even just an entire Mavericks team, the Mavericks fan base.
Right, they're like we don't even want to come to games probably anymore. So if he does not get fired in the offseason for this, I have zero doubt in my mind there was pressure from the top and the owners to move him. And I think this was talked about way before, and that's why Cuban sold the team. It wasn't a coincidence that
I don't know, because think if Cuban would have caught air that they were going to trade Luka. Knowing Mark Cuban and his personality, he would have made it known that they were going to trade him. Like, he would have told somebody.
Well,
and it would have got out.
Well, maybe somehow, but there's probably NDAs and stuff he had to sign for that stuff. But I mean, Cuban 100% would have not traded Luka. He loved Luka.
No. But the man Mark Cuban said that he would have divorced his wife if it meant keeping Luka Doncic.
Yeah, he did say that. I just think conspiracy-wise, I think there was way more pressure on Nico Harrison to move him, and I think he was given an ultimatum. You don't move him, we'll move you, and we'll get somebody to trade him. And so he said, okay, fine, I'll trade him. Y'all are making the worst mistake. I think that's really what it is. And he has to go on there and defend his team.
You know what I think was hilarious? If you watched the Mavericks-Grizzlies game Friday night, the play-in game, when AD got hurt and they showed him...
Oh, they did. They panned to him.
Showed him limping to the bench. The camera immediately panned to Nico Harrison.
I didn't see that. That's horrible. Why would they do that?
The camera immediately panned to Nico Harrison. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Well done on the cameraman.
But yeah, I'm with you. I would like to think that this guy is not that fucking stupid to trade away Luka Doncic on his own.
He's an NBA GM. He knows basketball.
So this would be equivalent to when LeBron came back to Cleveland, if Cleveland ownership was just like, if Cleveland GM was just like, we're tired of you demanding who we want on our team to take us to the finals. Get out of here. Like,
we don't want that.
Yeah. What? And yeah. I don't understand it, especially with somebody like Luka who was very loyal and did not want to leave Dallas. Like, I could understand if there was word going around that, hey, potentially this offseason, Luka could look to demand a trade if, things don't go right. No, I don't understand it, but I could understand it more if that was the case. If Luka wanted this, you weren't going to do it. So there's a potential that he could ask for a trade. So now you're trying to jump the gun and trade him before, I can understand it more at that point. But this guy had no intention of leaving. Never once did we ever hear in the news that Luka had demanded certain players around him. I don't understand this at all. It has to, like you said, it has to be Maverick ownership. And then for Adam Silver to get on the Pat McAfee show and go, well, we heard about the rumors of, Dallas leaving. They're not leaving. Actually, Maverick ownership wants to open a new arena. We're like, yeah, we read you that story. That was the whole point of our theory behind ownership doing it, is that they want to open a casino inside the arena in Dallas, not move them to Vegas. But they want to open a new arena with a casino, and the state of Texas said no. So now they're going to do this to make them horrible, and for the state of Texas to say yes.
Conspiracy theories all over the place, people. All over the place.
Yeah, because there's no way. Because listen, after that, if Nico Harrison got fired, there is absolutely 0% that anybody would call this man and hire him again. Because if I'm a lower level team, what am I going to bring you in here to trade away my best player that I have?
No, there again, zero doubt in my mind this came from.
But that's my whole point. Not that I know we dove a little bit too far into it again about the Luka trade, but like my whole point of doing this is I need Nico Harrison to shut up. Like, you made the trade. If you think it was the right move and you truly believe that, that's it. You don't need to say anything else about it. I made the trade. That's it. Okay? I don't need to say anything. The more and more you talk, the more and more you are letting the world know you were wrong.
Well, he's only talking about it, right? If people are asking about it.
Yeah, but how many times have we seen in interviews where guys get up there and they go, we're not answering any more questions about this.
They should. Time. He should say that. He should say, I'm not answering any more questions.
And then, I don't know if you saw this. This guy held a press after the Mavericks lost Friday. Saturday, he held a press conference that to private pressers, only allowed certain guys in, and told them no phones, no cameras, only notepad and pencil. That was all they were allowed to take in. And they talked about this.
And that's the Luka stuff?
Huh?
The Luka stuff?
Yeah, it was just about everything. The season and here, hold on.
Wow.
Private meetings. Yeah. In a news conference addressed this. They said he kept they kept asking him about, the trade and everything, and he just kept reiterating, defense wins championships, and we're hanging our hat on that. We're going to return we're going to return one of the best front lines in the NBA, and we have one of the deepest and most versatile benches. It just kept going on back and forth with defense wins championships, defense wins championships. They said pretty much that's when they kept asking him about Luka trades. That's pretty much what he kept going back to and just kept repeating. It said defense wins championships. So again, you're deflecting.
He's trying his hardest to just
and
try and make it better in some way. It's not.
Yeah. And then
can't do it.
And then that's my other thing. It's just can we leave Luka's in a playoff series with a brand new team trying to win trying to go on a championship run. We don't need to talk to him about this anymore.
No,
let's talk about it.
Be.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it after the season when the season's done. He's done playing basketball. Whatever. You want to have conversations about it, sure. But if I was Lakers ownership, Lakers public guy, doing all this, I'd be telling Luka, whoever comes in, you don't talk about this. If they ask you, you tell them no comment and move on. I'm tired of hearing about it. I know we're going to continuously hear about it because it was one of the biggest shockwaves in sport and honestly sports history. It was one of them. I get it. It's going to be a topic of conversation for even years to come. As the more and more Luka plays at a Luka level for the rest of his career, we're going to hear about this damn trade. And I get it. But for the time being, I need Nico Harrison to stop trying to justify himself every single day because it's getting bad at this point. You're just making yourself look worse day by day.
There you have it from Jacob Klukas. Nico, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, God, dude.
And sum it all up in one sentence there. All right, folks. Well, I think that does it for this episode of the Work the Crowd podcast. Again, follow us on socials and go subscribe to the YouTube channel. This will be up on YouTube. And hit that notification bell so you get notified when we release a new episode.
Don't forget you all, NFL draft this weekend, Thursday night, first round. So, should be exciting. Can't wait to see the Colts make the wrong decision. Is that it? Can't wait to see the Colts make the wrong decision.
They're gonna be fine. Chris Ballard's been on a good run lately. He's got some work to do.
Let's hope it carries over. Okay.
See you guys. Peace.